BuzzFeed, I feel like the industry has a third degree of separation with you. We've, I've met you somewhere before. I did, you know,
Yeah.
I did an interview on BuzzFeed, and here we are.
Yep. A couple years ago, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's that's kind of the goal. That's kind of the point of BuzzFeed, right? The the industry, I think a lot of people wanted to build apps and websites that would be the Facebook or the Instagram of cannabis, and I feel like it's a smaller community, right? And so I tried to create something that offered a little bit more utility to that smaller group of people, which created again that third degree of separation.
Yeah, and
Uh,
the industry
amongst
is
it.
small too, so everybody knows
Yeah, yeah,
BuzzFeed.
yeah,
That's cool.
yeah. It was cool. It's been good. It's been a good journey. It definitely has panned out different than how I anticipated, but I guess that's just entrepreneurship, really.
So why did you start, and where is BuzzFeed today?
Yeah. So I had worked in advertising, mostly social media marketing, really at the front of that whole wave, and kind of rode it through to the influencer stage of the industry. Ended up leaving the ad agency world and going to tech, and working for a consumer app as a director of marketing, and I was really interested in a community called because we were launching a new app and it was going to be a productivity app, and I was trying to figure out the right audience. And there's a website called Product Hunt that I really liked, founded by a guy named Ryan Hoover, and it was all about um, developers and designers sharing their new app, whatever. And this is where Slack was discovered. This is where a lot of major Notion. I'm trying to think of some of these other apps. Beehive. It's where a lot of these kind of modern day apps, things that are kind of becoming unicorns or have become unicorns, were being discovered. Right, really early on. And I felt like I think that community got to be like 7 million people, and he had a really nice exit. Actually, it was probably like 2 or 3 million people, and I think he had an exit of like 7 million, if I remember correctly. And I'm like, that seems like about the size of what this industry will be, right? Like 2 million people. So, and everybody's trying to sell stuff. They're trying to make it in an industry where they have very limited marketing. So, can I create a platform that allows people to share their products? I don't want to be up there uploading all the products and just trying to sell stuff. So I allow people to add their products to the site. I allow them to submit interviews to the site. So 90% of it is user generated, and it's facilitated by me and a couple other people behind the scenes, including my editor.
Awesome. That's so cool. So today, BuzzFeed itself is a platform for people to share their product to the industry.
Yep. You can sign up for an account. You can see the product on the site. People vote for their favorite products on a weekly basis, and then the top five usually get featured, or always get featured in the email newsletter. We've done 314 email newsletters, one every Monday for the last 314 weeks in a row. And so, and yeah, and the site's really grown organically. A couple years ago, I had to take quite a step back to take care of another business that I own, and it was able to kind of sustain on its own as a community. Obviously with some support from friends and team, but and it's something that, despite it, I feel like the advertising game in cannabis is a little rough. And despite me not being able to like achieve the scale that would get you like the high CPM advertising, I've been able to make a lot of impact with the community that I've built and the traffic that I do get, right?
Hmm. Yeah, no, it's such a cool vehicle that you've created. I was thinking about this the other day, and you've created a vehicle for people to not only publish to the world what they have, but also a vehicle for you to really make good connections.
Yeah. And discover stuff before anybody else has, like
Hmm.
that's the coolest part is some people come to me before they even want to post the idea, and they ask me if an idea is good. And sometimes I'm finding stuff like, my other company, Chill Steel Pipes, that was like a revolutionary idea and like a truly original concept,
Hmm.
and that's pretty cool. I think the whole, and I've tried to do Shark Tank thing a little bit. I don't have the dough to be, out here cubining it, but I've I put my money where my mouth is. I've definitely invested in some of the companies that I've become involved with through BudsFeed,
Hmm.
and or put in a lot of time that's worth a lot of money. And so that's been the cool part, and it's very rewarding to have a lot of people trust you with their early ideas and want to share it on your platform or share it with you before they're even willing to put it on the platform.
So I know that you're still running BuzzFeed, but you moved on really. You're in Wisconsin now at
Yep.
Elevated in the accessories game.
Yes. Yes, sir. You want me to go
No,
deeper?
no. Let me ask you this, because
Okay.
I feel like there's a strategy to accessories that you are probably very equipped to share. When somebody has a dispensary, what should their thought process be on accessories?
Oh yeah. I mean, I think the reality of it is, when dispensaries first open up, they really try to they almost go overly fancy with their millwork and their stuff, and they're really trying to elevate the retail environment, right? And what that lends itself to is selling flower. And first and foremost, you really do need to sell, the weed, the flower, the gummies, the vapes, whatever you can, right? That's your top priority. So accessories in most brand new stores before they really kind of learn to more merchandise is probably about 1.5% of your total revenue. I feel like most stores should be able to get at up to 5% of their total revenue. And obviously the margins on that and the tax situation on that is a lot better than what you're getting on the flower. So I think it's worth making a concerted effort, making those decisions on getting accessories in your store.
Oh, that's
Um,
huge. If you're
yeah.
pulling in 100 grand, $5,000 on accessory probably means maybe $4,000 of profit.
Yeah, it's significantly higher, at least $2,000 worth of profit,
Yeah.
and so if you're buying small amounts, you're going to get keystone pricing, but you might be able to get better margins than that. And as you order more volume, especially some of these guys have over time 4 or 5 stores. You just gotta, it's an important part of your mix. And I think if you look at places like Canada, it's going to become a much bigger part of what you sell, and those stores have kind of, in many ways, merged up there. And so, like the head shops and the actual dispensaries, a lot of them are kind of becoming one-stop shops. And
Hmm.
um, I always tell people get a mixture of the stuff that are commodities, almost consumables and fast movers, and the stuff that's going to elevate your store, right? So yeah, you might want a Puffco Peak or a Chill Bong or a Zenko or a Volcano, one of these really high end devices, and they look cool on your countertop, and they're all anywhere from $300 to $700. But I also recommend 25% of that 1.5%, or whatever, wherever you're at, a quarter of those accessory sales is going to be 510 batteries. You just need to get 510 batteries, and every time somebody orders a vape cart, say, do you have a battery for this? And most of them left it at home. It's in another pair of pants. It's in a different car, And a lot of people, there's a lot of reasons why people will buy a new vape battery. So that, rolling papers, an inexpensive grinder, good assortment of lighters, or stick to a certain brand like Bic. So have the fundamentals. With vaping increasing so much, have the vape batteries for sure, and then kind of mix and match things that are going to be affordable grab and go items, as well as the things that are going to elevate the presence of your store.
That is actually a good point. The batteries. I don't vape, so I'm not in the market, and I've never really thought of that about that. I'm more of a lighter guy because I don't vape.
Yeah, there's a consultant, Krista Rayner, who is very well known on LinkedIn, and she basically gave me that stat that 25% of that 1.5% to 5% of sales on accessories, literally a quarter of those sales are going to be 510 vape batteries.
Any strategies on increasing your percentage of sales to accessories?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of that becomes, make sure that you're using that counter space, right, your cash register properly. Like if you go to a grocery store, they're selling you gum, breath mints, Halls, throat lozenges, candy bars, sodas, right up until that last moment. Those are things that are under X dollars that are a little treat. Or they're selling things like lighters, or these are fundamental tools for consuming cannabis. And if you forgot your lighter at home or somewhere else, you're going to buy another lighter. If you forgot your vape cart or your vape battery and you just literally bought a cart and you want to rip it on your way home, you're going to buy, it's $10, $12. You're
Yeah.
going to spend the $12. You might spend $30 on a really nice one, but there's probably going to be a cheap one at that store for 10 to $12. And a lot of stores run out of them like all the time. And if they were able to keep a consistent flow coming in to their store of that they would actually make a significantly more revenue just by keeping those types of things in stock and not, investing ahead of it. A lot of people are afraid to spend a lot of money, especially early on, but you will never not sell those.
Yeah, and there's no shelf life.
There's no shelf life. So if you can afford to buy, $10,000 worth of them, 6 to 8 months down the road as you're getting started, like, you're going to be glad you did. You're going to make a way better margin on those things. So, yeah, it's interesting. We actually, so we just launched Dispenser, which is our wholesale platform. Like, I literally launched this on Tuesday of this week. Dispenser acquired BudsFeed, My Steak and Chill Steel Pipes, and My Steak and Smoke Source, which is our basically our sourcing technology for accessories. And we actually have a package that we go out to dispensaries with. It's $17.50, and we will build accessories website as a companion site to your dispensary. We'll sync it with your POS system, like a Dutchie or a Trees, right? And we will make a kiosk version of it. So if you want to be able to drop ship any kind of accessory to people in your stores, they can do it right on a tablet. So if they wanted this new Puffco, right, they could order it and have it delivered for free to your store. Or if they have it in stock, they can check out right there on this
Oh,
tablet.
wow. Drop ship from your warehouse.
Yep, right directly to the store. So they get a repeat purchase from that customer. And then we also will offer on consignment 20 SKUs. So we actually are going to give you that head shop in a box, basically, where it's like, we're going to give you, X number of 510 batteries. We're going to give you X number of glass dugouts. We're going to give you these 3 types of rolling papers. We're going to give you these lighters. We're going to give you these hemp wicks. So we actually will curate the kit for you, and then we're going to include some high-end devices. We're going to include Zenkos. We're going to include chill steel pipes. We're going to include Dynavap. We're going to include some Jane West. So we're going to build we're building a solution that allows us to effectively drop roughly $2,000 worth of product consignment in your store with a kiosk, with an accessories website that will be a companion with your normal homepage, where maybe people are buying, pre-ordering cannabis.
Oh, that's cool. I like consignment too. So really no risk.
Yeah, so and we're plugged into your POS, right? So we can, whether we're processing it on our built-in credit card processor, which is an option, or they're processing it with cash and selling it with cash along with the cannabis itself. We have kind of an ACH, it's a two-way ACH transfer. So as soon as they hit $500 in sales that they owe us, we capture that money. There's no invoicing them. We're doing that automatically. Likewise, if we're capturing the revenue via the website side, because we run the commerce on that e-commerce component of it, when we hit that $500 threshold, we're ACHing them money. So very clean. And it's, we're trying to figure out, we spent a lot of time in New York. That's where I'm originally, from for the last 13 years. And you talk to these owners that are just starting up, some of these big shops are ordering, $50,000 worth of goods from you in a month, right? But if you're a brand new store and you're just starting up, you got to go buy it, you got to pay your rent, and you've been probably waiting while you try to get your license. You got to do your build out. Then you actually got to buy the weed. Then you got to get customers to come buy it. They're like, getting accessories is not the highest priority, and it shouldn't be, but it is a priority. And, it is a way to drive more revenue and make your store look more interesting. And so we're just trying to create a solution that allows those early stage shops to get in, have something that works. And then once we get past that consignment stage and they're feeling confident they're getting revenue in their store that they can reinvest, then we have a whole wholesale platform that allows you to buy at an even better margin, and you can start placing, you could buy anywhere from $1,000 worth of stuff from us to $100,000 worth of stuff from us.
I that's so you guys do drop ship to customers too on the dispensary's behalf. What?
So it's kind of interesting. The way that it happened was I was running BudsFeed, and then I took over Chill because my business partner had passed away, right? And there was a company called Cali Connected on Nazir Silwani and Michael Oliva. They owned Cali Connected, and they wanted to help me out, so they started carrying the Chill, and I became real good friends with these guys. And I asked them, I'm like, hey, the way that you built Cali Connected, because they showed me a little bit about the back end. I had to get into the back end to upload my own products and stuff like that and get on. And I'm like, can you port what you've built to something like the back end of BudsFeed? And so, I don't know. Let's see. And so that, Nas spent the next, couple months building that, and he built the back end. He built BudsFeed.co, our commerce side of it. And as soon as I got hit, as soon as that went live and I announced that, I started getting hit up by dispensaries, and people were like, "Hey, I'm not big enough to get an account with Puffco, but I see you have Puffco. Can you get me a wholesale?" Like, people are calling me and just asking me if I could connect them with the brand, because it's like, perceivably, I'm carrying all these products, right? And I said, yeah, sure, why not? I figure I'll just call my supplier and see if I can't just get a wholesale and just negotiate a little bit of wiggle for me and whatever, help somebody out. And we just started doing that, and we kept doing that. And then, all this time I was still running Chill, and I was the CMO for Dynavap. And I still am the CMO for Dynavap. And, we had a distribution company called Dispenser, which was really, it carried Chill, it carried Dynavap, it carried Zenco. And I kept talking to Eric, our chief revenue officer, and Jason, our CEO. And I'm like, look, separately, these things can be very distracting because they're demanding of your time. But collectively, I think we could build something very unique and special with all of these components. So, we actually, we did basically a roll up, right? So it's a company that's kind of mutually owned by a handful of partners, including Dynavap. And we carry, our house brands are Dynavap, Chill Steel Pipe, Zenco, Jane West, and Pink Formula, which is like a cleaning solution. And then we carry another 10,000 SKUs, and we do that in partnership with, about 70 brands directly, as well as 5 major distributors. And, what we're trying to do is streamline the accessories, buying process, but also just that early access. Like, what do I need to get started,
Yeah, that will help so many dispensaries kick off.
Yeah, I'm hoping so. I mean, that's always been my MO, even with BudsFeed. It's like, I want to help people, like there's so many, so many bad stories and sad stories of like dispensaries just not making it because there's so much red tape.
Mm-hmm.
This is just a, people don't have the awareness of this stuff. They a lot of people that get the licenses, they have to learn about, they might even know a lot about weed, but that doesn't mean you know anything about buying it from all these regulated sources, and you're not getting access to the black market, and you're buying what's on the market in that state specifically. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. There's just a lot of things that are difficult for them. There's a very high threshold that they have to meet just to be in business. Mm-hmm. So I'm hoping to create something that, improves, their business, saves them time, saves them money.
Well, definitely the $2,000 on consignment to kick off the relationship is huge. So once a dispensary passes that mark, and now they're ordering wholesale, you guys carry 10,000 different products under your umbrella that they can just order directly from you.
Yeah, roughly. I think probably 7,000 or so are like appropriate for dispensaries. Like there's gonna definitely be some hemp products and stuff like that for the smoke shop side of this that won't be accessible to the accessory side for obvious, compliance reasons. But yeah, like 30 different grinder options and a bunch of different torches and a bunch of different, I don't know, hundreds of dab rigs.
Do you guys give stats on, hey, this is really selling in this market? You guys should really check this out.
Yeah, I think we will. I think we'll get smarter in that way. We just consolidated. So we had obviously Smoke Source, we had, all of these entities a little bit separate, and now all of that sales, all the sales are going through Dispenser.com, and that is, I think, going to allow us to get this data a little bit cleaner because they were all disparate companies
Hmm.
until now. And so we will, though. I mean, we already do aggregate data for the purposes of telling them what to buy. Like we know, generally speaking, like we'll ask them too, like, are you in a high socioeconomic environment or is it like grab and go? Like, ask them what's the most popular flower. If you got people buying a bunch of shake and pre-rolls and stuff like that, then it's going to be a lot different, you know, it's going to be a lot different than if it's like, people are buying edibles and beverages and, ounces at a time because they have the money to do it. Like, so, a lot of that comes down to the demographic of their store. And if they tell us that, I can use some deduction, like we've had
Yeah.
stores in, rougher parts of Chicago. We've had stores in really high end areas of Massachusetts. We have one of the nicest. We have a massive kiosk in one of the nicest dispensaries in Long Island, New York, with two massive shelves full of product. And those, even a store like that is selling the convenience stuff at a clip of
Mm.
like 10 to 1. So the good news is like even say you do want some of those higher end products, right? Like we're gonna bring you like a chill like one of my bongs, which is gonna retail for 140, right? That's a pretty high end product. It's a pretty considered purchase, $140. Anything over $100 is really pretty considered. So that can sit there for 2 months if it doesn't sell. I'm just gonna take the advertising as chill, right? But in that time frame, I will sell enough vape batteries to have made up that $2,000. And so if that's the one thing I need to keep replenishing, or if there's a couple items I need to keep replenishing, it's not that the other ones are dogs. It's just that that market might not be mature enough. And over time, we might need to switch out the higher end items to more lower price items just because, you know, a lot of these products, like a volcano is $700, right? You're probably going to sell one every 3 months. You might be lucky if you sell one or two every month, and that if you have a really high end store, but that means that person's got to come in with
Yeah.
a G just to buy their weed and that thing, and so
That
um,
that's a very low volume play. So what do you recommend dispensaries do? If I was first starting off, I'm past the $2,000 consignment. I've sold everything. How big should my first order be, and how many different items should I order? And I guess that's they would go through you for consultation.
So we automatically replenish your consignment, by the way. So as those vape batteries go, if say we have 24 pack CDU on the shelf for you, as soon as those hit 12, we're gonna send out a new package.
Oh wow! So
Yeah,
it's a 2,000
that keeps
rolling.
replenishing. Yeah, and that's why I said
That's
if that if
amazing.
that, if that bong sits there for 2 months, I don't care. I don't need to replenish that, but I might replenish the vape batteries twice by then.
Yeah.
Right, so that's fine. So it's really growing beyond that. And honestly, we'll give you better pricing if we get off a consignment and again it's $2,000 at some point. If your business is successful, that is
Yeah.
trivial, right? And
Yeah.
you're gonna be in a place where you're spending $10,000, $15,000, and that's the hope. We hope we can help people get to that stage. And at that point, if they're ordering this stuff from us cash, right, then they're gonna get better margins on those
So what's the
products.
difference on top of your head, or is it off the? What are the better margins on average from a wholesale perspective?
So on wholesale, um, you usually get Keystone, right? Or a little bit worse than Keystone. So
What does that
Keystone
mean?
meaning if something's $100, you're buying it for 50 and you're selling it at 100 and you're making 50 bucks. So you just
Hmm.
double, you just make your money back and then 100%, right?
Hmm.
You just double your money. Um, if you start buying at a distro level is really like 40% below wholesale. So 40% below Keystone, so way better. No single store really has the ability to order distro quantities. But say you're a dispensary and you're normally paying like, oh, let's say $8 for a vape battery or $9 for a vape battery, and you're selling it for 18 to 20 bucks. If you order 2,000 at a time, I can get them for you for like $6 with your name on them.
Okay.
Right. And
Yeah.
so there's certain items where it's worth
That makes
ordering in
sense.
quantity like that because you're going to move a lot of them. And you can also open up things like personalization. Um, but and then there's other, like for instance, we work with a group called Illicit from the Earth. They have two different brands out in Missouri. They're now in Jersey. They're now in New York. They have about 10 shops in Missouri. They order a lot. So when we and large orders because they're filling a lot of stores, right? And just with the fundamental stuff, that's pretty significant purchase with
Hmm.
us. And so, we go to our vendors and our suppliers and we try to make sure that we're securing the best prices possible. And if we are getting below what we want to make, right? Because we know what margins we want to make. Um, if we're getting below that, we try to pass that on to them and give them, some of the economies of scale too, because that way, they continue to be happy with our service, right? We know what we want to make and what we need to make to be successful in our business, and if we can take that extra margin and pass that on to our customers and always be their
Hmm.
trusted resource, that's perfect.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's how it should be.
Yeah, yeah, totally. I mean, yeah, there's certain times where you definitely want to try to take more margin, but on some of the stuff that's going to be fast movers, it's about speed and making a deal and getting it to them and being resourceful. The battery side of it, I try really hard to just make sure I can get people whatever they need, because I know that some of these items are mission critical, and some of them are there to make your store look good. And there's a handful of them that are somewhere in the middle of that Venn diagram where they might be a little bit more expensive, but they move really well. So, like a nice grinder, right? Like maybe a flour mill grinder, really good brand. They have a mini, and I can't remember I don't want to misquote the MSRP, but it's a good price, and it's basically allows them to get a flour mill, but at a good price. Those things fly off the shelf, because they're really, it's a high quality brand, and it's at affordable price points. So there's some stuff that kind of lives in the middle there.
That I feel that's a game within itself for a dispensary owner to figure out if your accessories is 1% of sales and you want to move it to 10, that's a neat game to play.
Yeah, and it's difficult. I think a lot of people too, they want to, I'm the person, like I want everybody to love all the cool gadgets. I know all the cool gadgets. Like that's my thing. But I also you got to you got to realize what kind of establishment you're running. A lot of people think that they're going to just revolutionize and elevate the game in this way, and it's just like, yeah, but have the basic stuff on hand.
Yeah.
Don't 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 act like you're above a $12 battery and some raw rolling papers.
Let's not recreate the wheel.
Right? Yeah, yeah, it's
There is a
funny.
Venn diagram, 80/20.
There's so many people that have come to me and said that stuff, and it's just like I agree with you, and I appreciate your intention.
How often do you see dispensaries incorporate in accessories as part of their loyalty program?
In some states, it's the only thing they can. Like I think one of our clients in Massachusetts set up a loyalty program where you'd earn points to get merch because you couldn't actually do one to get weed, which is
Mhm.
pretty cool and innovative of him to do it. And so we supplied all of that, And I gave him a bunch of free stuff. I found a bunch of, I get a lot of samples and stuff. So I helped. He was launching, and he was one of our first customers, and gave us a lot of feedback on the online platform. So I hooked him up with a bunch of goodies as well. And so yeah, I saw that. I don't know. We are integrated with Alpine IQ. I think it's still so early on. I also think, I think the kiosk and the website the component of what we build is really important, and it's critical. And honestly, one of the most critical components of it is that we have a thing called Simple Self Checkout built in, and it's a QR code based credit card checkout. So if you don't want to pay cash, you want to buy that $700 volcano up top, you can literally just buy it right here on the screen, and you can scan it with your phone, and it will open up that final page of the Shopify and let you enter the credit card right there on your phone, and then you can show the bud tender that the order is confirmed, and you can actually buy
Cool.
it. So that's actually one of the most important components of that, I think. But I guess getting to what I was saying, that behavior is not super common, right? To go into a store and sit there and browse a screen. I guess it's becoming more common though, so maybe we're ahead of our time. But I try to keep it real. I try to think about how do we physically get product in your store. People
Mhm.
don't.
Well, I mean, there's only oftentimes people just want it in their hands.
Yeah, especially in America, man.
Yeah.
Madly impatient culture, you know.
Amazon Prime, that's tomorrow.
Dude,
I'm gonna go grab it today.
Amazon Prime has ruined it for every small business that does e-commerce because, like, I literally fulfill a bong within 24 hours. It's out the door. No, every
Mhm.
day, no matter what. And UPS will take 4 days to get it there, 5 days. Sometimes it takes longer than that. And I swear to God, like people will email me like the second day and be like, "Hey, where is this? I haven't gone tracking." It's like, "Hey, you should have gotten this email." "Oh yeah, I did get that email. Sorry." "So when is it supposed to be here?" I'm like, "Just click on the tracking link." And like 4 days. What is this? Russia? And I'm just like, Jesus Christ. You know, and I'm just
You
like,
guys gotta open
and
up
I'm
a
not.
fulfillment center in every large metropolitan. Is what you guys need to do.
I know, and I'm like that. I am that person with anybody but a small business though, because it's just like I know what's done to me, but yeah, it's crazy, dude. It's unreal. Some of the customer service stuff that you have to deal with where people they're like, I ordered it on Saturday. Why isn't it shipped yet? It's like because it's Saturday, and people don't work on Saturday or Sunday. They come back on Monday. Well, I
Uh,
ordered express. I'm like, I don't know why you ordered express on a Saturday.
Justin, before I let you go, anything else that we haven't spoken about?
Oh man, so much. No, I think the big thing is, yeah, it's obviously BudsFeed and how that led to Chill, and ultimately to these guys at Dynavap, and now Dispenser. It's been cool. I'll tell you what, that was a rocky road, and very exciting at first. Like when I first probably met you, it was probably like a very exciting time. And then the trials and tribulations of running a product company and losing a business partner to cancer, and then meeting a group of people that really helped elevate you, lift you back up, and that clarity and the ability to kind of bring all this stuff together has been really a blessing. It's very exciting. It's something that I've had in my head for a long time, and to be there for real is pretty cool. And we just you know we nowhere else to go from here. We got to start working now, and so that's exciting. So if you're a dispensary and you need help with your accessories, hit me up. Let's do a free consultation.
Really?
Of
$2,000,
course.
guys, of consignment product. What do you have to lose?
Right. Yeah, no, hit me up. I think yeah, I'm really hoping to help. I'm excited about New York. I'm excited about what's happening in New Jersey. Minnesota's about to pop. Ohio's blowing up now. Um, so many of these markets. New Mexico's growing. Arizona's kind of staying stagnant but good. I mean, some of these markets are doing better than others, but yeah, it's exciting to see how many new states are coming on because I don't know. It's just indicative of hopefully getting closer to federal legalization and a true market where we can, get a lot of the restrictions lifted and grow like a normal business.
Yeah, it's don't hold your breath. I've held mine for so long.
I know, right?
I'm blue in the face now.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah, it it will likely not be the outcome that me as an advocate wants, and that's I've kind of come to terms with that a little bit. But I do feel like economically it is going to be difficult to put that genie back in the bottle, and I think it would be considered what is it almost like suicide to any political party to not
Oh
have
yeah.
it a little bit in their back pocket.
Yeah, it's political. We've gone to like, at least we've gone to a point where it's political suicide.
Yeah, yeah, like saying like completely shutting it down again would be a non-starter for Republicans and Democrats
Yeah,
alike. So
that's not happening.
yeah,
But I do wonder when the reschedule is going to happen. I mean, there were hiccups along the way with this new administration, but we'll see.
I think it's gonna get given away, man. I think you're looking at all the little guys struggle right now, and a lot of them fail. And along the way, they built a lot of infrastructure that can be bought up for very cheap. And I think you're gonna have the alcohol companies and the pharmaceutical companies and some of the consumer packaged goods companies with a lot of know-how on how to develop scaled, tobacco too, um, tobacco and liquor. They know how to build scaled um, chemical based products.
Yeah.
And I think at some point there will be a position where they're like, well, we think this should exist, but right now it's unsafe, and you really need a company with the ISO certifications of our businesses to do this.
Yeah, you need the
And
regulation.
and there will be legislation that says yes, but you're going to have to be able to meet these requirements, and a lot of these people are not going to be able to meet those requirements unless you're a company of that scale and manufacturing capacity. So I unfortunately foresee that happening. That could easily happen under Trump. Why would you reschedule if you did that? Rescheduling would be a formality to building the market that you want under big business. So
Mhm.
I think that's the more concerning thing to most people. Most people would rather it go completely illegal again than that happen, because at least when it's really illegal, you make a lot more money.
Yeah, having it illegal but having it regulated to death is kind of the same, really. It
Yeah,
it just means that there's only a handful of people that can make it go.
regulation just means people aren't making money. You know,
Yeah. Well, I
Other than
mean,
the government, right? And
yeah.
then if it's completely illegal, then you're making a lot more money because there's no licensing, there's no testing, there's no,
Mhm.
you know, and then your supply goes down because it's riskier to grow it and the demand is maintained. So I don't know. That's what's happening in California right now. They're saying in California, on average, the average store would need to get 200 more customers a month to survive.
It's bananas
If
over
you
there.
make if you make less than $2 million a year in revenue as a dispensary, you will not survive in California.
Yeah, it's bananas. It's bananas. How
Yeah,
how
it's
do you
sad.
compete?
Yeah, and I'm not mad at the guerrilla growers. Like the fact is, California was the largest exporter of cannabis in the world. Probably they are and they were the Napa Valley of cannabis. Like everybody got their cannabis, at least where I'm from, either from California or from Canada.
Yeah.
That was Washington State. But even New York, we were getting tons of shit from California. Everybody was getting their weed from California. Europe's getting their weed from California. And now you want to sell it just within this one state? In a state where all these people are allowed to home grow, which I believe in as well. But, and then there's so many counties that restrict it. Like, how are you going to contain that? There's no way that there's just not enough Californians that are going to go buy illegal weed.
Yeah. No.
And so it's becoming unsustainable, and I think that's where federal legalization, or at least one of these states, just has to say screw it. I'm going to do uh, what is it, interstate commerce. I'm just going to do it, and I'm going to just ship a bunch to uh, uh, Germany, medical grade stuff to Germany. Like somebody's just going to have to do it because I don't know, man. Without interstate commerce, none of these all these states hit that point where that supply supersedes the demand, and then the prices start to drop, and then everybody just starts competing on price, and then you just have a bunch of garbage, and a lot of the good guys end up going down because they can't compete because they only want to grow good product, and that seems to be the demise of most of these states.
Yeah, and then the government makes less money, so they increase their taxes, and
It's
there you go.
crazy. Yeah, that's California in a nutshell, man.
Yeah, there you go. It's like, oh, we expect to make more money. Let's just increase taxes. That'll solve everything.
Right. Yeah, totally. So, and then they do grants for social equity dispensaries. And I'm just like, how about you just don't tax the social equity applicants? Why are you
Yeah.
creating, why are we giving you 20 million and then you create a $2 million grant program? Like, how long did
Yeah.
it take you to craft and write a grant program? Like, how many hundreds of thousands of dollars did you pay somebody to build that program instead of just taxing those people $2 million less? Like,
Yeah.
what the f, dude? It's so backwards. I'm so glad I'm not in politics.
Justin, before I let you go, how can our listeners find you?
Yeah. BudsFeed.com, BudsFeed.com, chill.store, .store, not a .com, and then Dispenser.com, Dyspensr.com. It's quite a unique name. So, Dispenser.com. So those are the three kind of like, those are my things. That's what's going on.
Hmm. Guys, hit them up. $2,000 consignment. What are you waiting for? Let's
Yeah,
go.
let's do it.
Let's go. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. Before I let you go, let's find out who won the Bud Tender Spotlight of the Week. We are celebrating bud tenders who keep our industry thriving, and this week's Bud Tender Spotlight winner is Brianna from Kindling Cannabis in Ontario. David, who nominated Brianna, states she consistently goes above and beyond. Her kind, professional approach and dedication makes her an absolute essential to the team. Congratulations, Brianna. If you have a bud tender you want to nominate, please check out the Bud Tender Spotlight section on Kaya Push. We announce winners every week. Winners receive a $50 gift card as well as a personalized certificate highlighting their achievements.
Thanks for listening to the KayaCast podcast. We hope you enjoyed the show. Don't forget to subscribe to our podcast in your favorite podcast app or visit our website to access the full archive of episodes from the show.